I look out at my audience, an audience that will on average spend 8 years, 9 months watching TV. We'll spend 6 years, 8 months on social media, yet our true sin is our own acedia. That same person will only spend 1 year, 3 months socializing. Each of us is immobilized, desensitized, and paralyzed by the phones in our pockets. This is Blackberries by Zens. Blackberries, blackberries, eating blackberries. Let me text you on a Blackberry. Sorry, we don't eat blackberries anymore, or text on them for that matter. Now it's just apples. Apple, iPhone, iPad, I miss you. Let me text you that I miss you. Sorry, no cellular data. That text didn't go through. Bad connection splits us two. It splits you two. It splits society in two. But that's okay. We'll just change data plans and hope for a better connection with us two. I'm no different than you. See, we can't talk to each other. A great abyss forms in which we dismiss that friend sitting right next to us. Where I worry that if a blackout occurred, the world would go dark and the world would go silent. I knew a kid once. His name was Peter. He had bright auburn eyes with a warmth like autumn, a peppermint personality that enticed people. He seemed so happy, so full of light. He smiled with that voluminous smile of his, and the world for just a moment seemed small and close. Peter was far more popular than I, commanding an army of thousands of friends and followers. To me and others from the outside looking in, he had many who adored him, but for Peter from the inside looking out was alone. No one knew Peter was hurting, that his heart was yelling, burning for someone to hear the screams over the deafening yammerings of the world. Because he would just smile with that smile of his, snap a photo, post it to Instagram, he would get 500 likes, and it seemed from the outside looking in that he had a host of friends, when really he was just alone. We can't dismiss that there is a social crisis where you and I are just 6 degrees from being connected to the whole world by relation. Yet people report feeling more meaningless, more alone, more friendless in the age of friending. These problems are compounded by our technology-driven, Ritalin-ridden society. People who like to talk are shunned, beaten down, and belittled. That's not the social order anymore. What's normal is quiet. Devoid of a vibrant energy, tyrannical teachers prescribe a dose of pure and definite silence. Because silence is timeless, and talking is inconvenient. When I was a kid, my teacher took away my exercise ball because she said it was distracting. Told me to focus, bring my voice to a level 0. She said that I distracted the other students. She asked why I felt the urge to talk. She put me at a desk alone, away from the rest of the class, like a little island stranded in the ocean, not knowing how it got there. My teacher called me stupid. She preferred the quiet student. She sighed at having to help me in class as if it was too much to ask. She said, "I have never heard a more irritating voice." I said nothing. Then she said something vile, as grotesque as rotting blackberries in autumn. "You talk too much. You'll never amount to anything." She begged my family, no, implored my family to medicate me. She says, and I quote, "This is the only way for her to succeed. I have ADD, attention deficit disorder. My teacher called me stupid. She preferred the quiet student. I can tell you I'm not stupid. But my teacher made me feel that way." You know what the world needs? A bit of eloquent conversation. The ability to walk up to a stranger and say, "Hello, my name's Nicole. It's nice to meet you," and mean it. To keep them hooked on the tip of your tongue, ever ensnaring them with a deep infatuation for conversation. Too many young kids station themselves in the cessation of real human interaction. No matter how much counteraction is taken, nothing seems to help. Why is it that chat doesn't mean talk? Why is it that people get their news from the partial stories of Snapchat, but we can't talk about the news? Because that could offend someone, upend the social order, which we so negligently amend. Why is it that when I walk into a room with my friends, all I see is screens, all of us pretending that this is what hanging out means? We try to acquiesce in something that isn't acceptable, telling ourselves this is the world we live in. Technology is just a part of our new world order. Some say it's indispensable despite the inconveniences these conveniences are conceiving. It's thieving, it's cheating us out of humanity, and it hurts. But we're numb, even dumb to the damage it's doing. Its harm is subtle. Never one event, but a string of events. I've always been a people person. I love to talk to people. Human interaction just seems to be my niche. It's something my teachers love and hate all on the same day. See, I could talk forever about pretty much anything to anyone, but I'm different. I'm a social quandary. I sit on the boundary of my society in the area where people who don't do things properly sit. I'm not talking socially, but in the scape of people's minds, I'm an ambiguity. Sometimes a little too much to handle. People then cancel me out, build a castle of opinion to strangle me into reticence, to segregate me from others as the girl who wouldn't shut up. When that doesn't work, uncork a new medicine bottle. That'll fix the problem. Of course, it never does. And we start on the path of medical dependence, trying to pay penance for the blasphemous behavior of pro-social action. We lack the genuine capability to communicate amongst ourselves. Our skills never honed, but simply disowned. I met a lady once. Her face was a quiet tone. I met her at a funeral. It was the death of my dear friend Peter. The service concluded. It was time for speeches. I had prepared a eulogy for Peter. The feeling of our relationship was bursting at the seams as I rose to the podium, ready to speak of his legacy, how he loved people, bellowing to the room of how I aspired to be him. My cheeks grew hot with emotion as I explained that we must not wallow extendedly. He wouldn't want that. That we should remember him for his deeds and the things that he's done. I had never felt so drained of emotion, moved and empowered. As I finished, wiping my tears, walking off, the lady stopped me, tugging on my sleeve. She said, "I have never heard a speech more beautiful." And I said, "Thank you." Then she said something pure, as beautiful as fresh blackberries in the spring. She says, "You're gonna be something because you can talk." She squeezed my hand and walked away. I thought to myself, I know how to talk. I'm gonna be somebody. My irritating trait of talking meant something to someone. It meant something to me. It was my greatest trait, inexplicably tied to my being, and from then on, the real picture came into view. I could never wish it away now. As you and I tiptoe in and through society, we cannot let ourselves be consumed by technology. We cannot let ourselves not acknowledge that friend sitting right next to us. We cannot let that teacher call us stupid because we know a little bit of eloquent conversation. Maybe all it will take is a little old lady tugging on the world's sleeve to say, "Hey, you can talk, and you're gonna be somebody." So why don't we dim that screen, raise our heads, and just say hello? Want to share some blackberries with me? Thank you.